Tony, round one, world's longest off-season is at an end. The league season begins again. We'll get the obvious out of the way. Fitness concerns coming in. We see Jake Brimmer coming back, Gary coming back from long-term injuries. Izzo's had some issues in the pre-season. What's the fitness of your squad coming into the Big Blue?
Well, everyone's available, apart from Jordi Valadon, who's had a longer-term injury throughout pre-season. But we feel that he's maybe 6 weeks away from being available. So, of course, everyone's at different levels in terms of how much they've trained and played in pre-season. But we have a fit squad available, which is the most important going into round one.
Last year you had so many players that had come off interrupted pre-season. I think Jason was probably the main example of that and could just never really get right. Do you feel like you've got them all in good nick and they've all got a good body of work behind them to thrive from the get-go, I suppose, this year?
Yeah, we do. I think I've mentioned a few times throughout this preparation that Jason Gary and Jake Brimmer, they're like essentially two new players that we've brought in. They've brought in a great enthusiasm and energy. When you miss the game that you love playing, and Jason, basically for a whole year, and Jakey for 8 months. So it's really refreshing to see them back on the park and fit and healthy and ready to go. Obviously, they're at different stages in terms of their physical fitness, but they're available.
How's Jake grown from this experience? Because sometimes when players are sidelined, they have to do the extra tape, they have to do all the stuff that's not necessarily exciting. Has he grown, and I guess can you see it having that impact straight away in terms of what you can actually take away from that sort of experience?
Yeah, I think adversity makes us stronger. And I think we all go through that in life, whether it's football or away from football, in your personal dealings with life that you do at home. And Jakey's had that. He had some setbacks in his rehabilitation. He had an infection that was uncontrollable. So then you've got to grow. And he went through a difficult period. He worked extremely hard in the off season. He was in here very early. He wanted to get strong, and obviously you go through your ups and downs. But we're seeing a much more mature Jake Brimmer. He's obviously grown from this experience, and he's been selected as part of the leadership group, so it's another step forward for him. And I believe that this injury, you never want an injury like this, but I believe in the long term this will help him in his career.
Is there a feeling, almost like obviously last season you guys planned for a multitude of reasons, a lot of them that were out of your control, but now it's sort of like a fresh start. The squads, you've brought in a bunch of new players, you've had a full off-season to work with, you're actually getting a proper fit squad for the first time in quite a while. Is there that sense of optimism amongst the group that this is a fresh start, new season, time to put all that behind us? Yeah,
I think it's a clean slate, as you say, and just not just on the field but off the field as well. I think our fans are very happy. I think all fans in the country are happy with this decision for the grand final. It's something the fans and members of all clubs wanted. Certainly our club did, and it's there now. So it's a clean slate for them also to come here and support the boys. We feel refreshed. I think the boys have come in very determined, a lot of energy. They're embracing the challenge, and we want to show what Melbourne Victory can do, and as we did 2 years ago, we were very, very competitive, had some success, challenged for the title, and we want to get back to doing that.
What was your reaction on Wednesday morning when you see the news come through, the backflip? It's now we're having a Unite round and hosting rights are back up for grabs.
Yeah, a lot of joy. I think in general, I think the football public is very pleased with the outcome. Also the Unite round, I think that's a great initiative. I think it's really positive to have the men's and women's football over a whole weekend, and that's something that football fans and new fans can embrace. We want to see them out there, and obviously the grand final decision is a real positive for the game, and I think now that we've all got what we want, I think it's really time to move forward and support this great game and come out and watch some great football, and we want to certainly make our fans happy with the type of football and results that we can get this year.
Sydney FC, they've had a great pre-season, they won the Australia Cup, they look rejuvenated. What sort of test are they going to pose, especially going up there?
It's always a huge test against Sydney FC, and the rivalry is very clear, and it has been over the years. Last year we got one over them in Sydney. It was a fantastic match. Wet conditions. We're back there again. Their pre-season's been very solid. They've won the cup. We can see they're a very strong outfit, which you would expect. But we're very confident that we can give them the game that they should expect, which will be really tough, and they'll face an opponent that's very determined and ready to start round one.
Coming into that game, it looks like you've got a pretty well-established back four coming in, but look at the midfield. You've got a lot of options that in that, a lot of bodies in there that can allow you to play in different ways as well. You've got Ray and Teague in there, Zinedine and Jake. So, are you inclined to play like a double pivot or a single pivot? What do you think you're coming into this season and how that midfield will work?
Yeah, I think we've tried various combinations throughout the pre-season. Obviously, as Jakey's got fitter, he's come into that in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think the key is that our game style is clear, and how players fit into that and how that looks on paper is one thing. But we certainly want our midfield to play a key role in how we play the game, and they'll be very important. We've brought in some young players that can really add that enthusiasm and energy to the squad. Also with Daniel Arzani, Zinedine Mashash, they're new players but exciting players, and as you say, at the back we seem very stable and established. We need that continuity, and we're confident we can get that now.
Daniel Arzani, spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. It sounds like he's thriving and really enjoying the training standards, the setup, while he's getting his body right. How exciting is he looking? Because we obviously know the potential he's had, but I'm sure he wants to get to that next level in his career now under you as well.
Yeah, look, we signed a talented player with a huge amount of potential, but he's very determined to turn that potential into clear outcomes, and we want to help him achieve that, and I'm delighted that he's here with us. He's a fantastic character, personality off the field, and people see him as maybe just a player that maybe isn't as dedicated to his craft, or is a player that can only play in certain moments in matches, but you'll be surprised by what you see. This is a very determined young man, a very professional young man, which has been a real pleasant surprise for us to see. And I think he's learnt that over the years of playing overseas, and he's brought that real professionalism to our squad. I'm confident that we'll see a real Daniel Arzani, a better version of Daniel Arzani with maturity this year.
Obviously they play different positions, but are there parallels there between Daniel and Nick D'Agostino? You had Nick at Perth, and then you brought him here, and he had potential, but you held him to a very high standard and made him work to realise that. And then we saw that when he began to put those outcomes in place and secure a move to Europe. Is that a similar process with Daniel? He's come in and you're going to hold him to that standard to make sure he realises that talent?
Yeah, we are. That's why he's at a big club, and we want to hold him to the standards, but we want him to enjoy those standards. We want to enjoy coming in every day, having that expectation of, I need to produce every day in training. I need to work on my game, whether it's with the ball, without the ball, and I want to thrive in that environment and enjoy that work. We saw Nick do that. We've seen Jake Brimmer do it. And Daniel's obviously another talent, but there are a lot of boys that probably fit into that mould. The new younger players, and also players that are very determined after what happened last year, and everyone's very hungry for success, and success for us is performing every week, and if we can do that, then we're confident that the results will follow.
Chris Economides is one of those players. He had such a rough run, he looked like he was pushing for Socceroos, and then more injuries, and then his form just tailed off completely. How's he?
He's good. He's unfortunately had a few setbacks in this pre-season, so it's been a constant challenge for him, but in the last month or so we've really seen a change in Chris, not just physically, but I think actually mentally, in terms of where he feels he's at right now, which is probably as good as he's looked in a very long time, and probably how he's felt in a very long time. And I'm very confident we'll see the real Chris Economides that we've seen in the past, and He's trained well, hasn't played much recently, but he's fit and available, which is a real positive.
Coming into the season, Chris is one of a number of wingers that you've got on the books. You've got Bruno established as the main striker, but behind him maybe the most apparent backup for Bruno isn't as obvious. What are you thinking if Bruno goes down and can't start as a night? Is it somebody like Chris comes inside, Eli Adams, Nishan, Ben Falami? Who is your primary backup for the night?
I don't think we have a primary backup. I think the squad's been really formed in terms of versatility. All those players you've mentioned have a lot of athleticism, a lot of mobility. The movement's great. They're all young players, exciting players, and we feel that any combination in that front third, also with Zinedine as well, who's played as a 9, we have many options there that we can use this year.